This is a review of the first ever gimbal, I think, to include artificial intelligence. Yes, that's right. AI. And today we're gonna actually figure out what that means, as well as chat through the details and features of the new Insta360 Flow, which I think is probably the smallest, most compact, most complete gimbal I've ever used. I know a mobile gimbal isn't really anything new, but this is truly the most complete ecosystem I've seen built around a gimbal. And in a lot of ways, this gimbal is like your own personal filmmaking assistant. So let's get started. First things first, all new features aside, let's see just how stable this thing really is. Toss on a filter, turn it on, and let it rip. Okay. Yeah, that's smooth. Okay, yeah, that's looking good. That's looking good. Okay, safe to say it passes the stabilizer test, which honestly, like, it should pass that test because it's a gimbal. Next, just how easy is it to use? Or is this just gonna be another piece of gear that I throw in my drawer because I never use it? Oh yeah, it's easy. It unfolds in a single motion and immediately auto balances. Next, battery life. We're hitting some quick ones here. I never thought about battery life, which goes to show that it has great battery life, because you only think about battery life when your technological electronic thing you're using dies. So the battery life, does it last all day? Sure does. Then we have the built-in tripod and selfie stick. This just is a must-have for gimbals these days. The selfie sticks allows you to get way closer to action without actually putting your body there. Allows you to do some kind of cool jib shot emulations as well. And the tripod, it just means you can set your freaking gimbal down, which is awesome. It's how you can achieve a lot of the auto tracking of yourself too, which we'll get into later. But yes, these are must-have features, and I'm glad Insta360 included these. Okay, but how does artificial intelligence, AI, the buzzword of 2023, how does it actually play into and help this gimbal ecosystem like I mentioned earlier? Well, it's two parts. The first being through Deep Track 3.0. And the second is Shot Genie. Like I mentioned earlier, it's kind of like a filmmaking assistant. It's kind of like someone to help you go shoot, help you create content. So if you're a beginner, that's huge. Also, the Insta360 app gives you manual controls over your shutter speed and white balance in ISO, which is huge. I haven't done a gimbal review in a while, so maybe some other apps include this now, but my biggest sticking point with gimbals in the past is in order to use their awesome in-app features, I had to use their app, which didn't give me manual controls over my settings, which as a filmmaker just, breaks my heart. But now, Insta360, they have those manual features, which means you get to use all these awesome app features that in the past you probably wouldn't have been able to. That is awesome. So in terms of tracking, you basically have 6 or 7 modes that help you achieve certain shots. The first one is hoop mode. This one's really cool because it actually tracks a basketball. So before, when you would track and auto track in an app, it would kind of just stick to a person, but this, it can stick to a ball. So where the AI comes into play is if you were to shoot a shot, the tracking would actually follow the ball, not you. So if you're shooting yourself playing basketball, you can actually show the ball going in. It'll track the ball, not you. Also, the always on tracking allows you to follow a subject and hold focus even if they go out of frame, while most other gimbals will drop off after 3 seconds. A lot of these new tracking features are very specific to certain kinds of shots, but also the normal tracking mode looks super good. The continuous, where you just kind of draw a box on the person or the thing and it just tracks it. Yeah, that works pretty well too. Okay, and then Shot Genie, you can actually ask artificial intelligence to give you a play-by-play shot list of how you should shoot different scenes. I'm going camping. Now, as a filmmaker, I don't really need that help, but I just think that's such a cool feature that's built in. You can literally talk and give it a prompt and it'll spit you out some options, or you can just go into their library and select an option that you'd like. Like if you wanted to go camping, it'll give you some shot ideas for shooting camping. All right, moving on to the physical buttons here on the dial. To change modes, you actually, in the spirit of like an iPod Nano or an old iPod, you move your finger around the circle and it'll change modes. It's actually kind of fun. I like that. Actually, it wasn't as intuitive as I thought. They had to tell me how to change modes. I felt like a dummy. But now that I know how, it's a pretty good way to change modes. And I think what's nice is it's not too sensitive to where you'll accidentally change. Here you'll see 4 modes. You have auto mode, follow mode, pan follow, and FPV. Auto mode is what I'm in the most time, and then I would probably go to follow mode back and forth. And then FPV is really fun because it kind of mimics an FPV drone, so you can get some kind of crazy shots, which I think is a blast because it's just one of those things that kind of spices up your gimbal shooting. The last thing that I want to highlight for this gimbal are their built-in color profiles. Now, I tend to color grade my footage because I'm a filmmaker, but if I were a beginner or I was just a content creator and I was looking for that kind of one-stop shop, I can edit in the app, I can shoot in the app, I can do everything in app. One thing that I wouldn't want to do later would be color grade because it would take me out of the app. So there are some built-in color profiles in the app that I think are actually pretty cool. If you were to choose one, I would choose one of the warmer options just because I tend to lean toward liking warmer colors. But I think what's cool is that kind of fulfills this whole ecosystem of you can shoot in there, you can edit in there, you can pre-pro with Shot Genie. It's just kind of this all-encompassing content creation tool, and it's just a gimbal and your phone. Okay, so I actually had to go on a trip before I could finish this video on a little spring ski trip with my dad and his dog. But there's a few features that I wanted to hit that I think are super important that I didn't hit earlier that I think make this gimbal the best in class. First, I mentioned the selfie stick in tripod mode earlier, but what I failed to mention is that it is the only gimbal, and I had to research this, this is the only gimbal that actually has both a selfie stick and a built-in tripod. That's awesome. You can also charge your phone straight from the gimbal, which for long days out shooting is super nice. A spotlight mount also plugs in here, which of course I forgot at home, but that plugs in right there as well. Okay, and lastly, there are some really cool creative shot modes that you can utilize with this gimbal. You have barrel roll, you have a dolly zoom, you have a motion lapse, you have a 360 panorama mode, which turns your phone into a 360 camera, that are all super useful and awesome, and I'm pretty sure that this is the only gimbal to include all of those. So the creative possibilities are endless. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, I think it's great. I like it. I want one. I do.
All right, everybody, thank you for watching. Feel free to check out the Insta360 Flow. Link is in the description. If you have any questions on the gimbal, let me know. And yes, the only thing I will add is that I did use an ND filter. That's probably the only extra piece of gear I used in this video, and that was just so I could control my shutter speed in brighter daylight. I used this one right here, which is like the size of like a silver dollar. I actually stacked two because I couldn't find my thicker one, so I just stacked a 16 and an 8. But yes, if you guys have any questions or anything, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and as always, appreciate y'all. Okay, peace. Come grab it. Be very careful. Nice. Is that cool? Mm-hmm. Are you gonna be a filmmaker one day?
No.
No?
Doctor.
Doctor. A much better career. Can you hand to Townsy?
Be careful.
Are you gonna be a filmmaker?
Yeah.
Sick.